Hello.
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
What's up? I tried using my computer, and of course, I thought I didn't have to download the app. I can just use my computer. And of course, the computer gave me issues, so now I'm on my phone on that,
Okay, fine.
which I should have just done. I should have just done from the beginning.
Well, at least you're here. So good. Thank you. Amazing.
Yeah. How's everybody?
I've got
Yeah.
a little cough and a cold, but other than that, I'm pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm good. Yesterday was my birthday.
Oh, happy
So
birthday.
thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
For
Yeah,
some reason on my
currently.
screen you're blurry.
Oh yeah, I think it does that sometimes, but basically it records like directly from the laptop, so later
Okay.
like the recording will be clear. If that makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
But it kind of goes in and out of the blur.
I didn't know if it was just me.
No, I see it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
How are you doing, Awesome?
I'm good. I was trying to get some errands done early in the morning. Kind of failed. I did my laundry though, so which is good.
Sunday vibe, huh?
Always that laundry. Always the laundry. Oh, she dropped out.
Hmm.
Oh, she's back.
Oh wow, that was quick.
Oh, now it's clear.
Mm,
Yeah,
The camera.
here it goes.
amazing. So yeah, unfortunately, Chris isn't able to make it today. So I thought let's just go ahead anyway with the conversation with Awsun and Aisha. Is that it?
Yeah, there's
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
no. I was just saying. Yeah, there's still a lot to talk about. But yeah, Chris's perspective will be missed.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm sure more opportunities will come in the future. So we've basically got like just an hour, so I think let's just go ahead. Yeah, thank you
Mm,
both so much for joining here to yeah be open to having this talk and this conversation. Yeah, really grateful. Yeah, so basically, I started this platform Path A in yeah at the end of 2017, just as my awakening began, and really it was just to provide support for other people on their journey and their process. Because I feel like at the time, for me anyway, it wasn't something I could like felt I could speak to everyone about. Sometimes it's like this hidden thing, and then I think it's really cool and important to share stories and so that we can learn from each other. But yeah, I have a podcast which I spoke to Orson on. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's called The New Monks. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that. And yeah, then I developed this online course, and I also host a conscious dance event in London. Um, but yeah, today we are speaking on the title that I named Mastering Vibration. And really, this one, I feel like it's just a conversation that I feel like I haven't seen a lot of online, specifically with what's been unraveling at the moment with the Middle East. But I have seen like both of you speaking about it in this way, and I've definitely really, really appreciated, hearing those voices. And I just feel like I want to see and hear more of it. So yeah, this is like the
yeah,
reason why I wanted to host a conversation about it. And I think a lot of the stuff, the terms that I've been seeing, I feel like a lot of it has been so misrepresented, and there's just so much more to it. So yeah, looking forward to going in. Um, so it would be amazing if I think you can just introduce yourselves. But before we do that, if we can just take a few moments to connect in the stillness. Getting into how you're feeling.
Stretch.
Focusing on your breath. Coming into this present moment to listen, to learn, to absorb. And to listen with an open heart and an open mind. Thank you.
I always like to throw in a little stretching. Thank you.
Nice, well done. So yeah, if you want to just say a little bit something about your journey, I guess a little bit what you do and anything else you'd like to share.
Ladies first, Ayesha.
Sure. Okay, so for those who are listening, my name is Ayesha Ophelia. My voice doesn't always sound this
Ayesha.
raspy. I'm moving through a little bit of sickness, but I've been online for about the last 10 years, and at the beginning of that, the platform in the space was called the Girlfriend Manifesto, and I was really specifically speaking to women about these different pillars in my life that had really made a difference. Sisterhood being one of them, spirituality being another, the way we care for ourselves. Self-care has really it's a buzzword, so I don't use it that much anymore, but people really got to know me through that space and really building an audience. And for the last few years it's just been under my name, and it's really been a space for people to come and almost like a space where a lot of ideas can exist that can't in other places. That's what I found that people really say to me is like, this space feels so different than other spaces online. I'm a creative. I do a lot of creative work. I'm a writer, but I also coach and counsel women, especially with grief and at usually different milestones when they're leaving a world and going into another one. That kind of like that fallow space where we're not quite sure, and you just need someone to be with you while you're making a change or a transition from one world to another. Mm-hmm. So that's work I enjoy doing. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit of me and my story in a nutshell.
Amazing, thank you.
That's awesome.
10 years, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And great meeting you. I think this is the first time we've ever connected, so I'll definitely be following you on all of the socials and stuff.
Same.
Okay, I'll go next. My name's Awsun. I reclaimed it as Awsun after my like fourth awakening, so I go by AWSUN. Kind of just a silly thing, but it kind of means a little bit to me. I have been kind of on the awakening journey my whole life, since I was, I don't know, like 14. If anybody remembers the movie Zeitgeist, that like conspiracy movie, that was like that's like what blew the door of my mind open. And like as a young teenager, to be the only one talking about like the Federal Reserve and like the Twin Towers and like 9/11 is an inside job, it was kind of an alienating journey. And like literally everybody just thought I was crazy. So I've kind of always had this reputation that I'm crazy since I was a kid. So when people call me crazy or whatever now, like it doesn't really faze me. But outside of that, I haven't been able to make the spiritual journey like my profession, but hope to one day, maybe in my 40s or 50s, when I'm kind of got it as figured out as much as possible. And then right now, I kind of work in a corporation in the middle of Washington, D.C., doxing myself a little bit. Uh, and it's been an experience to be like an awakening person, to see what I can see, with third eye, fourth eye, fifth eye, whatever, sixth eye open,
All the eyes.
and all the eyes, and being in a corporation and watching myself have to, like, kind of play robots, and like not being able to talk about what I want to talk about with people, and stuff. And it's been an interesting journey, but the best part about the journey is, like, you find like-minded people, and um having like-minded people around, and virtually and in person. It's been really important to me to kind of keep myself from letting the inner robot win, and like just falling for the, oh, you're crazy, and just like letting it take over. But yeah, no, it's been really important, like, when you know, and I know we know. So that's a little bit about me. um yeah, let's get
Amazing.
into it.
Thank you. And yeah, I remember we spoke about Zeitgeist. I think I only watched that when I was like 21, but thank you so much. So yeah, this talk really, we're talking about a vibration, how it's so important for us to, find our stability with what's happening in the external world, with all the different events that take place. And I feel like this specific topic has been like inverted in a way. In some ways, I just feel like it's being like shamed, and actually that's not the way to do it. So what I would love to do as well is just to get your definitions of what some of these terms mean for you. So like what does what does neutrality mean for you, both of you?
Do you want to go first,
uh
Austin?
I can go first. Okay, sure. um Neutrality to me is isn't apathy. That's what I want to say.
Mm,
What a lot of people um immediately assume when you say I'm being neutral, the blah blah blah. Like, a lot of people assume, like, you don't care, you're like, part of the new age, like love and light, blah blah blah, and like you don't engage with that, and you don't care about what happens to the planet and all this stuff, and you're just like letting life go, about how it goes, and that's it. Like, that's not neutrality. To me, my understanding of neutrality has always been, um, you like encompass both sides with like kind of a compassion, and like an understanding, like, yeah, like, the right side is like this, the left side is like this, but in the middle there's this thing that they're fighting over. And like, neutrality is kind of holding that middle energy. There's a lot of people holding this side, there's a lot of people holding that side, but there aren't many people built to kind of be in the mess. And like, I feel like people who are masters of neutrality are people who can kind of take both sides, and like not be shaken, or not be messed up, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and kind of still keep their vision clear. That's kind of what neutrality means to me, though. It's a super long definition. Definition. Sorry.
yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. I completely agree. I think neutrality is almost the ability to hold all the different pieces and still find a way to keep your heart open, still find a way to be in the power of what it means to be able to hold all of it.
Mm.
Yeah, and I feel like, that word's an interesting one for me. I could probably spend just like a day really trying to unpack how I feel about this word neutrality, because I feel like you also do not have to be neutral about things like injustices, for instance. There's a way to be powerfully for something, not even opposed to something, because I feel like that's kind of the old world too. It's all about building the new. And I really have been, wanting to walk this middle path, build a bridge in between in between worlds, between our head and our heart, between this idea and this idea. Like, what happens when we can hold those spaces?
Mm.
And I think it does require the energy of neutrality. But there's so much there. It's such a buzzword that has so many like
Hmm.
people. It feels weak, like it feels like apathy for most people. But
Yeah,
the way that I understand it's a little bit different.
yeah.
Yeah, I love what you said.
It's
Sorry, go for it, Awesome.
yeah. No, I was just saying, yeah, it's a really powerful position, and you're like, bending two energies. Like you're
Mm.
trying to find the best way to operate out of that. It's not, you're not too much in one direction, too much in the other, like, because that's easy. Like the current is taking you in one way or another, but it takes, a certain level of willpower um
Mm.
and just like knowing to kind of like stay in your power, like Aisha was saying.
Mm. Totally.
But yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say.
I love what you were saying, Aisha, about the bridging, because I feel like that's such a big part, is to be that bridge. And yeah, I feel like things have just been so confused, and especially what you said about the word neutrality, because I think a lot of people, when they see neutrality, it doesn't make sense to them. And but also it's an old concept. It's very Buddhist, the middle path
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
equanimity. These are ancient terms that have been around for a long time. So it's really interesting, like what's happening now. Both of you, do you feel like, yeah, the 0 point? Because that's another way, I guess, that some people kind of speak about it. Is that similar kind of concept definition?
Mm.
I think
That's
so.
also
Yeah.
a heavy one to unpack. Aisha, you go
Well,
first.
it's like the feeling that I had in my body was like, what happens when all the noise, like everything that's trying to get your attention is like out here? What happens when you go into that 0 point of just um, deep awareness? And I just really think one of the concepts or ideas or things that are manifest in us that needs to be in this new earth if we're creating it is the ability to hold the light and the dark. If you've had an awakening and it hasn't really included your eyes being open to what's being perpetrated all around, I think more and more people are doing it. But something that I wanted to reflect while Austin was talking was just a profoundly sick society calling you crazy is like I should be like thank you, actually, because we're living in this inversion of truth. And so if anyone starts to question, especially at that time, I think my first awakening was very like, fuzzy, love and light. Had another one where my mom passed, and then it's like I was just awake to some of the darkness that's here and on the planet and playing out. And that was a really big one for me, because I somehow thought that just everything was hunky dory. Just everything's hunky dory, and yeah, there's a lot there. But I think that 0 point is the ability to hold all of it and still come into this place of stillness and wisdom, because you can't really find that if you're freaking out and you're over here and you're over there. All the static of the world keeps us kind of spinning and not able to really touch and taste what truth is.
Yeah, I completely agree. The only thing I would add is I feel like there is a subtle difference between 0 point and neutrality. And I feel like 0 point might even be uh like deeper. It might be outside of, left, right, and neutral, and it's kind of, you can get to 0 point from all of them, but I think it's just easier to get to it from neutrality because uh you're not like, being pulled in a bunch of different directions. But yeah, that's all I want.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I think people use 0 point as like it's also like with the physical realm, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's like
yeah, no, yeah, to, oh, no, I was just gonna add that, yeah, to me it's like, 0 point just feels like it's like the source or something.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if
Okay.
the source, there's a little bit of the source in everything, and like, yeah, like I was saying, um, it's always easier, I think, to get to the stuff when you're not being pulled in a bunch of different directions. So I think that's the most important relationship between, 0 point and neutrality, that
Mm,
it's easiest to get to the 0 point and truth when you're not being like influenced, and uh all the freaking stuff that's being weaponized against people nowadays, media, like, like, I mean, the list just goes on and on.
true. Yeah, I think for me as well, this sentence comes for neutrality. It's like to be the active observer. So yeah, it's totally not a state of being passive. And within it, you can. I think we were speaking about this the other day or something. Like you can act and say and speak in certain ways, but you're always coming back to that space. You know what I mean? So it's not. And this it's so interesting with the what happens because I feel like when you're take going onto either like side, there's just like this.
Mm.
It takes up consumes so much energy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, when I think about
So
what the power, sort of the power position is, it is, that this space that we're talking about, that we're unpacking. And to me, the word I've been using is, it's like, how do I be a harbinger in a time? How do I like hold the light up for others to see the, their own light, but how do I be in that space? Because to me, it's the most powerful space. It's not like this
yeah,
side, that side. You got to join a side. It's like
yes,
it's an other secret but not secret third thing.
yes.
And that's why I think it gets attacked so much too. Like, why people are so against neutral, blah 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 blah.
I was just gonna ask you.
Because they're afraid. But yeah, go ahead, Jess.
I was just gonna ask you. Yeah, why do you think that is happening at the moment? It feels like. I mean, it's always. I feel like it always happens this way. These new ideas, these new models, they're always attacked at first, right? So,
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, all the greats. Love has never been a revolutionary idea till like after the fact. All the people that wear. I've been on a big James Baldwin kick. I don't know if he was properly
yes.
appreciated in his time, but yeah, usually revolutionary ideas aren't just accepted by the masses until later. So that's been something I've been taking solace in, as people are, it's the time that we're in is it's like magnifying a lot, like kind of like all of our darkness and our light as well. It's a magnifier for things, and I think it almost had to get this bad so people would like wake up out of the dream, like wake up. And I think that is happening. And part of the wake up process is anger, fear, all the things. When you're awakening, you think it's going to feel a certain way, and then the truth is it's powerful. And yeah, I don't even know what I want to say about that, but
That's so true. Like you don't know what's going to happen, and then it just starts unraveling. And for me, it was also very confusing. It was just like, what is going on? You know?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the concept about love as well is totally what you said. I feel like it's so powerful, but to embody that is difficult. To be that is hard. To have compassion and empathy is it's very easy to just say, "Oh, it's your fault." There's so much, within it.
Yeah. And like, let's not forget that a lot of times when people are referring to love, it's like an attachment type of love. You know, you're talking about, oh, like I love this person, I love this concept, I love this, I love that, whatever. Um, but the true essence of love is like being able to um kind of encompass everything. Like we all came from love, I guess. I mean, I don't know if some people believe that. I don't know if I believe that. So, but we all came from, you know, this energy, this love, this like creation thing. And there's no way it had you know, uh individuals in mind, this or that. It was just like this force that just plopped everything out. Like well, that's what life is. And I think we can see love in in life, but you can't like it's not something that you can, I don't know, like put into words. The When you try to put it into words immediately, you've turned it into like, you know, an attachment of something.
Yeah. I think what you said is very true. Like our interpretation of love is very one dimensional in a way. And there's so much more to it. Boundaries, it's like, it's not always just like, woo. And this is also something that I find really interesting because I feel like I've seen people saying people are just love and lighting, and I'm just like, yeah, but that's not the real love and light. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think love is also a force that holds one responsible, right? And I think that's so
Yes.
true. I've really thought, like, why are people so down on love? It's because everyone's been hurt by the force of what they consider love. And as I've done some more like metaphysical journeying, my experience of love in different places is much, it's not that it's cold, but it's much more like, it's not just this romantic, you know force. I love you one day, I don't the next. And so I think that that's why that word, it needs to be returned
Mm.
to its proper space with all of us, because I too agree that it is. I mean, it's the force that started everything spinning. However you believe that happened, it's so much bigger than we can comprehend. And I think that's even a part of it, is that it can hold everything. It can hold the darkness, it can hold the light, it can hold all your questioning, it can hold all the things. And I don't know if we totally can comprehend and or trust it, because of what we've turned love into in this realm is something that we can't really trust. That's so.
Mm,
That's scary to think about. Very true.
yeah.
uh, yeah, we've kind of let's let me kind of draw a visualization. Like, you know, let's say love is like a vast ocean, right? And what humanity has done, or like what human consciousness has done, is basically add plumbing to it. Like, you know, a bunch of pipes. This pipe goes this way, this pipe is supposed to go this way. Like it's given it like love. It's like we've planned it out. Like we've given it a plan, but all we got to do is kind of just like let love be an ocean, let it flow. And like where our minds have kind of like boxed it up into things. Did I draw that well?
Yeah, yeah, that's,
But yeah, that's humans are great at that. Like that's you know, that's what helped us build this planet up. but it's also like uh, a weakness of ours, like that we want to box everything up, want to put organize everything, put things here, this, and like give things like their a purpose. Like some things just like their purpose is to be everything. Like you can't box every single thing on the planet. You can't box every single person's abilities. You can't box every single person's like personality. Like like I think we hold people to this like this restrictive standard. Like um, we don't let people you know experience their infinite and like unlimited potential. That's my thing with love. Like if people really loved you, they wouldn't tell you like oh, you're not as smart as you think you are, or like you're crazy, or like they would understand like from a deep part of themselves that they're that unlimited thing too. Like I'm just a part of that unlimited thing in them that's trying to like wake up. Like come on, come on. But like yeah, it's
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's been really interesting, I think, just seeing like the conversations that are happening and unfolding as this craziness continues. And I think it has to get to this point. It had to get to this stage, because there's something much deeper going on, like that. It's unraveling, unfolding, that we're also, many of us that have been doing this for a long time are still finding out. Um, but yeah, I really love what you said, that place is like a powerful place. That's the place of power. And I feel like that's really true as well. What I'd love to hear from you, how do you do it? Do you know what I mean? How do we find ourselves, in the center, in our place of power?
well, first of all, not to keep talking, but you gotta do that the dark work like
Yeah.
Aisha was brought up that like there's no way you can get to the neutrality without crossing the dark abyss that you've been like ignoring your whole life. Like the good stuff is great, like that shit follows you around, but there's also like this massive stuff that you've been avoiding your whole life that's following you around too. And like if you don't deal with it, it's just the the distance between you and neutralities. Like you think you're there because you've accepted all the good stuff, and like but like you haven't really opened yourself up and allowed yourself to feel you know the darkness of yourself, of the world. I mean, like the other day I was I'm not even high, but I was looking at a dead plant on the street and I was like, damn, that's death right there. And I'm like, um, but like it's like all these things that humans we falsely like attribute and like give meanings to, and like it's yeah, it's amazing they have definitions for us, but like life goes through it like that. Like life does it, life does its thing, and like does it again like every day without even us noticing. um but yeah, no, I just like you gotta go through the definitely the dark stuff to master neutrality for sure.
I mean, I love that you said that, and I'm really glad, because I think this is one thing that's getting really confused. People are saying, oh, this is spiritual bypassing. But actually, like you said, you have to go through the dark thing. But yeah, what about for you, Aisha?
I mean, I agree. I think of it as the birth process, and that can be definitely messy. And I think we're seeing all of the mess and we're wanting it to go away, right? Like, I kept having this vision, this pretty graphic, and I was also not high, but I just saw like energetically we were like an animal with our entrails out, and everybody wants to put it back in. No, I don't want to look at this kind of darkness. I don't want to have to look at this. But I think that society is the sum of its parts. There is all of the things within us, the most beautiful things and the darkest things, especially if we don't look at them, we don't learn how to tame them, work with them. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing play out in humanity. It's like some of the best, highest achievements, and also some of the most unconscious behavior. And that's a part of it. The shadow is definitely a part of us that actually wants to come into the light and be integrated into wholeness and into the light. But if we don't do that work as individuals, we can point the finger all we want. This person's evil. We got to take them out. But like, what about the parts of you? What about the parts of you that war lives within? Instead of pointing the finger, it's like actually doing that work to see, especially within our. I think the place that we have the most power is our family unit and the people that we work with and live with. And like, we could probably cite all kinds of examples of little mini wars that are happening at work, and things and corners that we're not willing to look at in ourselves, or the relationships that we're in. And I think we're all a fractal of this bigger picture. I think in conversations like this, people are like, okay, but what about like the realness of what's happening now? Me doing this inner work isn't going to change anything out there. And not only do I fundamentally disagree, I think that that's the only real force that we have power over. Like, do all the things. You can put your picket fences up and or whatever. You can like do all the things to, you can say ceasefire on social media all you want. I don't know. That system is so incredibly broken, and we actually have so little control over what that looks like. Why don't we go into a space where we have a lot of control and look at how we're looking at people? Are we conscious while we're online, or do we just like black out and say all this bullshit? Like, these are the spaces that I think are the most powerful, but also a lot of people don't really want to look at. They don't really want to look at themselves in the mirror in that way.
I love this. Yeah, totally. I feel like yeah, what you're speaking about as well is like the responsibility, because and I feel like that's such a big one, and realizing how much responsibility we hold, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it is totally one thing to be speaking online, but then, and I find it so interesting because I completely agree with you. Like, this is the place where we have control and power to, implement, to impact, to change. So, but I know that it doesn't seem like that sometimes for some people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
like subtle, it's soft in some ways.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
And I
But yeah,
think
I
I
would love.
think it's kind of
Sorry,
sorry,
go,
just
go.
adding a little sprinkling about the work that I've been doing, and the people that I've been trying to listen to, really have this grasp around the light and the dark, and sort of like the cycles we've been in, the many cycles we've been in like this as humanity. And I don't know, I think it's like, turn off the news and turn on something that is, I've got some suggestions about what that could be personally, what I've been really diving into and who I've been listening to as like news sources in a time like this. But I think that's part of the work too, is not just consuming all of the hate and the fear and like all of the things that we've been told to consume, but actually consuming things, that'll bring about a future that we want to be a part of.
Hmm. Yeah, totally. I would also love to hear like what is your interpretation of spiritual bypassing and emotional bypassing? Because yeah, that's just something that's been used so much.
Yeah.
And obviously some people are doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I have a lot to say, but I'll take a break and let you go first.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go first. Um, but yeah, to touch on a little bit of what you guys were saying a little bit ago, that's the whole agenda of the external world, like, politics, all this stuff. It's to keep people focused on the outside, when the whole time, um if 5 billion people on the planet just like went in and meditated on themselves, got through, their BS that that they've been avoiding in their life, they what the establishment doesn't want you to know is that alone has would have an effect on collective reality. If you just got rid of the BS in your life and did some energetic hygiene, some spiritual hygiene, and all this stuff, and like got rid of all that stuff that's been following you around, or like you've been avoiding, that does have a collective effect. But yeah, I'll segue that into, that's what, for me, that's the essence of spiritual bypassing, is you're bypassing your responsibility as like a co-creator of the planet.
Yeah. Mm.
Like that,
Oh,
that's like
Right.
that's good. Yeah.
your, yeah.
Yeah, like
Yes. Wait, that's wait.
that's the conversation I'm here for about spiritual bypassing, because it just gets thrown around so much now. And I'm like, okay, what are we
Yes.
really talking about? We can't bypass our bodies. We can't bypass, like we think we can, but actually the spiritual path is actually the unbypassing path. It's like, if you're actually on the spiritual path, and you can't just like slap love and light on everything and keep it moving, because you're not moving forward. And so I love that. It's actually about a responsibility. It's about understanding some of these concepts about what we focus on expanding, and our reality, and for everyone else as well. It's like, to me, I'm like, okay, I don't think people actually really believe all this stuff that they say they are, because if we did and we were acting as if, then as few as 100,000 of us could really create a big shift. And I do feel that it's happening, maybe not by and large quite yet, but that's exactly it. I love that definition, and I hadn't really heard it like that, but I've definitely been like, all right, I, I'm sick of hearing this word. Like what is really going on with this, you know?
Yeah. That's, to me, I would say that's what spiritual bypassing is. People don't want to accept responsibility. Like they don't want to, like, it's like, you know, um I hate using this as an example, but like doing your taxes, blah, blah, like how the establishment has put made that a responsibility of the people. Like people are so focused on doing their like freaking paper taxes, like you're not thinking about the humanity, like the spiritual tax. Like there's stuff going on in levels you haven't even been able to comprehend, like because you're not slowing down, you're not looking inward, but it's still racking up, like that paperwork, that internal paperwork, just like me waiting 2 weeks to do my laundry. It piles up, and you,
Mm.
it like you can't imagine, like you I wouldn't be able to imagine how much spiritual paperwork somebody's racked up. Like you gotta get through that, and um it's scary, it's daunting, like all these descriptive words for people, but um you gotta have the courage and like be brave,
Yeah.
um and just like and do it. That's I think that's the missing piece, where
Mm.
we know what's going on, but we can tell people as much as we want, but uh, like you can't push somebody off the cliff. Like you could push them off the cliff, but but like um, it's something you have to accept, um, and do. and do like accept the responsibility and like do on your own. Like that's the biggest hurdle.
Yeah, I really love what you were saying earlier about bypassing what did you say? The responsibility we have as creators. Because I was gonna
Co-creators.
like also kind of ask,
Co-creators, yeah.
as co-creators, yeah. Like, why is that important to, bring into the new world? Like, and how is it? How do you see that happening? And that's kind of what you're saying there. Sorry, there's the call to prayer. I don't know if you can.
I'll answer after Aisha.
Well, yeah, there was.
I'll
I think as I've been, speaking a lot about the just the healing balm of love. I think that's
I
where
think I've
people
lost
think like
Alicia
that's where
somehow.
people. Oh, can you not hear me?
I can
Okay,
hear you.
good. Yeah. Um, I I
Do you
think
think you could
where
just
the
do the video on and off and?
my video. Okay. Um, I didn't did you lose my audio? I mean my video, Austin? Could you see me the whole time?
I could say
Okay.
you're still clear, crystal clear for
Okay.
I
me.
think it's just
Yeah.
for me, so this is very strange. But I think
Okay.
it will be on the recording. So
Yeah.
anyway, go ahead.
Okay.
This is chanting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
It's
call to prayer. It's so
um
loud.
That's awesome.
feels like a metaphor. Yeah, that inner call. I think that's where people start to get lost with the spiritual bypassing conversation is if you bring in love, if you actually bring in some of these higher forces that allow us to not bypass but to tap into a sort of grace that we would not have without them. I think that's not only okay, but that's like a part of the design. It's like you're not thinking about every breath you're going to take. Your body is doing some of these things for you. There are forces that can help us get through the darkness and look at our own shadow. And I think that's where it gets tricky for some people. It's like, don't talk about love right now. We need something else. Like we need something else that's more powerful than that. And for me, there really is nothing else. And just to kind of step back into the how we start to co-create, to me it's like one of my favorite people is this man named Buckminster Fuller. He was like a futurist, and one of the things he said about life was that you don't spend all your energy trying to break something down. You create a system that makes the old one obsolete. And so, and instead of being like anti something, what do you care about? That is where your energy is going to go a lot further. I feel like we're kind of like spinning our wheels because we haven't really embodied some of these more simple energetic rules about who we are and how things work. And so for me to be a creator is the antidote to all of the consumption. They just want us to be fat and lazy, and not even just physically, just like energetically weighed down with all the information coming at us. And to me, the antidote is creativity. It is being a creator. And it's, I think your energy goes a lot further when you're creating versus fighting, trying to make something end. It's actually, looking this direction and saying, where do I want to go? How do I want to act? And what can I create in order to, be a harbinger, be a person that's it's building a bridge between the old and the new, and it's not going to just be necessarily overnight. I mean, sure, we're capable of massive human feats, and one of which could be mobilizing, getting true and getting into the truth of who we are and moving in a direction together. But that seems like herding cats. And I know that what I have power over is like this, my vehicle, me, my consciousness, my thoughts. Yeah, I'll pass it on.
Yeah, uh, I love that. Yeah, the I think like my my favorite way of deconstructing stuff is thinking like microcosm, macrocosm, and like humans are a microcosm of, the universe. And if you can even master 10% of yourself, um that's like 10% of the universe. So like that's how I like to think about things. And uh there's just so much distraction. I want to like send a, I don't know, a flare up into the air with all the answers for people, and like, so they can get it. But the what this journey has taught me is, um every individual is a creator. We co-create this reality consciously or unconsciously, um, where a lot of us are shifting to a more conscious way of, viewing our reality, interacting with life. And that's really good. Like Aisha was saying, that we just need more people, more more people to do it. And yeah, they're gonna slowly, it's going to get to a point, we keep talking about this point, it's going to come to a point where you can't bypass stuff anymore. Like all that stuff that's been piling up for you, you won't be able to blame it on Israel, you won't be able to blame it on Palestine, you won't be able to blame it on these external things. Like, that's not why you're stressed out, that's not why you're feeling like crap. Like, it's not, the external world is not the reason. It's all the stuff that you have been letting pile up and avoiding. And it's gonna suck. A lot of people are not gonna probably survive that. And it's like, however it's gonna outpicture the into the world, like, let's send a prayer
Mm.
out that it outpictures, like, in the best way possible for humanity. Because the way things are going now, uh when you have like 10 assignments due on like December 24th, like, what are you gonna fucking do? There's no way. Like, yeah, it's gonna take some people out.
Yeah,
And like, I think uh we just have to be ready as the people who can hold that neutral,
yeah.
that neutral ground, and like, kind of just like Aisha was saying, like, be the torch, just be like
Mm.
the person who kind of like helps ground people. Or just like, when they're in chaos, it's like, it's not that bad. Like, you think all of this stuff is your problem, but really, let's talk about, what you've been avoiding in your life, maybe. And like, some people will be able to pull them back in like that, and some people, it's just gonna be like, uh they won't be able to receive it. And
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
it's
I think
so.
what came up now as well as you're talking. Just I think it's like also understanding how reality works, and yeah, and like you said, with our responsibility within that. And now it's just completely lost my mind what I was going to say there, but yeah, it's gone. But yeah, that's a good point actually, Batika. I'm just looking into the comments now. Some people are
Yeah. I
having some
well,
comments.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
but
For
I
for
know also
feet,
Aisha has to leave soon. So, yeah.
I have a little bit more
Yeah,
time.
this is what I want to say. How do you feel like, because I feel like it's very difficult for some people to like grasp a concept like that, don't focus on the outside world so much. Do you know what I mean? And how that is being seen as spiritual bypassing. Like, what is your like interpretation of that? And like, do you know what I mean?
Well,
The actual
okay. I've
difference,
got
and why this is like, why this is a path that we are kind of walking.
I've got a good example of how I think reality is formed. So you plant a seed, you plant it into fertile darkness, ideally, and you don't dig up the seed every single day to see if it's growing. But, as above, so below. It's like our roots are what brings about the fruits. And, You can spend all the time, sort of like working on amendments, working on all these things, but what's really informing our reality is that the inner part of ourselves. So I think it takes self-responsibility, but to me it's the ultimate power position. It's how we find the power of neutrality and not the weakness. It's how we find the power of love and not just the parts of love that we think have let ourselves down or let someone else down. So to me it's like maybe studying more about some of these concepts, or even just using this in as a experiment in your life. You can try to get your partner to change, and you can like be so frustrated, or you can come into the only thing you really have power over, and it's you and your reaction and who you're being. Yeah, I think, well, I have something to say also to Felix, because I think a lot of the older spiritual traditions say a third of people just won't make it, a third of people will kind of go crazy, and a third of people will get with the impulse that the universe is having, that the whole world is having, to grow us into something different, to uncover the truth of who we are as a species, to not be so much in the dark. If there is this great, war going on of light and dark, how do we illuminate more of our own uninitiated light and bring it into the light, and thereby have more control over what is populating in our world? So much of what we see and focus on will come back as a feedback loop for us. If we think people are shitty and horrible and they're going to do us dirty, we're going to keep encountering that over and over and over and over again. If we believe something different, then something different happens. So it is like, it's the power of the mind, the power of the heart, the power of our vision, and the power of the ones of us who are harbingers, who are building bridges, and who are able to be more in the work of this middle path.
Yeah, I love that. Hmm.
This, I don't know, it's still not working for me, so if you're responding, Austin, would love if you.
Jess, you did not. Did you miss all of that? You missed a great.
But if you'd like to do a little summary, that would be great.
No way. It was too good. Um,
Oh,
but uh, but yeah, that's. When did we lose you?
So is it just me that
are
you
you
can't
talking to
hear?
me?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, Jess. Are you with us? I'm. I can hear you fine. Like you haven't been
I
disconnected.
think it's just for me. I
I
can't
think.
hear. That's all. So I don't know why. That's
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I think it's going good though. But yeah, I think there might just be some interference with your signal, Jess.
Some kind of
Sorry.
signal. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
um. Yeah, I really loved this conversation and unpacking it. And hopefully it inspired some people to unpack themselves too, which I think definitely needs to happen. We gotta shift from this the external world has power over me perspective to like my internal world has power over
That's
the
right.
external world perspective. Like that's that that's what the establishment is does its best. That's why it spends trillions of dollars a year to distract you from like keep you on the Netflix, keep you on this, keep you on that, keep you in the politics, keep you on the TV. Like it's all of it is to pull your attention out and disempower you and suppress you, so you don't figure out that if you figure out your inside, you figure out the outside. You don't have to figure out the outside to figure out your inside.
Yes, I love that.
But yeah, that's all.
I want to share about a study. I want to share about a study that is that just well, it got declassified a few years ago, and it's basically the gateway process. It's the process for leaving your body and being able to go into different spaces of awareness and seeing, and it's basically how remote viewing works. And the people with the most money in this world are studying these things. And just like Austin was saying, they're trying to keep us distracted with Netflix, like all these other things that are so measly compared to what our consciousness can really do. And I'm sorry Jess can't hear me. She's probably like, what's going on? But will you tell her, like, I'm talking about the
Yeah.
gateway process by an institute.
Yeah. It was declassified
Exactly.
very
This
recently. Yeah.
institute still does this kind of work to help people basically be able to do all kinds of incredible things.
Yeah. 100%. I love that.
That's a good question, I like from Felix. So,
What you say?
can we not stay fully embodied and conscious as we observe the spiritual worlds?
Mm. I think you can explore aspects of it while you're embodied, but there's just gonna be a level of trust that you're gonna have to give to, you know, the powers outside of you that are also you, that you're gonna have to kind of explore. But the most important thing about, exploring realms and stuff is you can always bring the information back and embody it. That's the important thing. But there's definitely a level of self trust that we gotta do to go into the unknown.
Oh yeah, look, I can tell when you
Uh,
muted the mic. Okay, thank you. It's so silly. I wanted to ask you as well, both of you, about the concept of protesting. Like, see, Aisha said she has a bit more time. So yeah, because I feel like we need new ways of protesting, and these old ways, it's still very much going out into the external, trying to change it from the outside, and to be honest, most people are doing that. Most people are still, that's the way that, like, the majority of people know how to, change. But yeah, do you have any other like ideas, or what are your feelings and thoughts on that?
mm, I should go first.
Yeah, I feel like we do. We need a new form of protesting. And for me, that the protest is actually just creation and creativity, instead of just consuming everything that we're told to. Um, yeah, I mean, I think that that is what's being called for in this time is creation, and is that inner alchemy that we're talking about. Instead of giving our power away to external forces, it's actually going within and seeing what we can create that's the answer to whatever we're feeling like we want to protest against, because we have so much more power in that way. I sound like a broken record, but I feel like so do they, in the ways that they're trying to get your attention, your consciousness, which is the most it's the biggest resource. It's the great equalizer too, because there's all these conversations about privilege and this and that, but on a consciousness level, we're all imbued with the thing of life that creates life. And so to me, it's that's the answer for me personally.
Yeah, I love that. Um, for me, Uh, I would say there's just I mean, humans are so powerful, and um that's my thing. That's what I want to share with people, that no matter how much, we've been conditioned and what we've been taught, we have to be brave enough um to kind of go into the uncharted waters, and um we might get scraped up a little bit, we might trip, we might stumble, but like that's part of the journey. Like, you go, before you can see in the dark, you might stub your toe. And like, I think a lot of people are hindering themselves, or like suppressing themselves, just because they're afraid to stub their toes, their multi-dimensional toe.
Mm.
um and then, yeah, I don't know. I just think a lot of people, when you're that kind of person where you uh feel like you're like way ahead of your time. Like, I think sometimes people are uh like um I I've had some experiences that make me feel like I'm from like thousands of years in the future, and my soul like shot itself into this meat suit to kind of like help people figure shit out, or just be a frequency, like a Wi-Fi signal, uh for for other people to kind of just like tap into their into their yeah, exactly, yeah. Some of us are just, I think, put here to be that Wi-Fi signal that helps to try, and that's supposed to help remind people that there's something else out here. Like, tap into that signal.
Mm.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Mm. It's true. It is true. I would also love to hear about just any reflections on the like cancel culture kind of shaming thing that's happening, because I feel like so many people are getting drawn into that. Just and
Mm,
also like how it plays into, the finding your neutrality, finding the center.
mm. I think that's just all part of like the whole victimizer drama. Like, you don't want to deal with what's going on inside of you, so you have to find somebody externally to to criticize, to blame, uh like, because what you're really canceling is something you don't want to see in yourself. That's what I think. That's what I think it is. Like, there's a part of you resonating with some type of information, and you're so against it that um you don't even want to deal with it. So you just want to cancel it, like, not even. But what we're supposed to do, like, for neutrality, you're supposed to be able to take both sides without going crazy and like, cancel you, like,
Mm.
without pointing fingers and doing all that crazy stuff. Uh, but yeah, that's kind of what I feel like cancel culture is. It's just a way for people to, yet another way for people to not deal with what's going on in themselves.
Yeah, and you know what? And I guess it's hard because when the levels of what's happening at the moment are playing out, you know, this is when we're really tested to stay there, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think the test has even started. Like I said, we're
It
way ahead of our
is.
time.
It
Like,
really
it's gonna
is.
get so much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Like, this is the easy. This is the, we're just like the whole COVID thing. That was training, and this is like training number two. Like, we were COVID was like the standing in our power training, and then this one is like embodying the truth, and like, can you really, you know you can stand in it, but can you really fucking talk it? Sorry for cursing, but can you really fucking talk it and walk it? Can you walk in it? And then the next one, I don't know, man. I don't even want to think about it.
Yeah.
Like I'll just let source bring that shit in whenever it happens. But
Mm, time travelers from the future.
Can I add something to the cancel
yeah,
culture? I feel like I think the kind of the reason it is
of
the
course.
victim Olympics right now is because it's like a symptom of people not feeling heard, respected, honored, and that system will never give you that. It's extractive. It's out for blood. It turns people into mini soldiers, and I do feel like it's that symptom of actually not using our God given abilities to create. We think this person needs to say it exactly how I would, or I'm out to get them. And I do think, like Austin said, is that you're trying to cancel the parts of yourself that you don't really want to look at. And I think when you do go into that darkness, you realize that every sort of disowned quality that we have, the darkness of other people can also be found within us. Like that's the reason that we can recognize it. And instead of pointing a finger out there at them, again, it goes back to that self responsibility about coming home to who you really are, and choosing to focus on certain aspects of yourself rather than just that. But it to me it feels like just a big symptom of people not feeling respected, not feeling seen, not feeling honored, not feeling all of the things that that system will never give you. To me, it's like the most abusive boyfriend that we just keep returning to. Like we're like, all right, I want more. I want more of that. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, no, I love that. Definitely. That's been what the thing you brought up with the what's in other people and you resonate with that, and that it's something that inside of you that you're avoiding. That's been my mode of operation for the longest time, since I kind of came into that like knowledge intuitively. Anytime somebody pisses me off, or like I just get this weird feeling about somebody, I first do a check-in, and I was like, don't do I not like that part about them because I secretly want to be that, or like I secretly hate myself for being like that, or like, so I do these like micro check-ins with myself all the time, where if I see somebody I really don't like I kind of try to figure it out, like, do I really not like them because we're not compatible, um or is it I'm avoiding something that's resonating in me, like that I don't want to face. But yeah, that's one of my biggest things. I'm glad you brought it up, Aisha. Um, yeah, definitely those check-ins when you're meeting people, it could save you. You could be missing like the connection of a lifetime just because you're in your head and like, oh, I don't like this person. Well. I was like, you never know. That might be the one person that helps you figure out I don't know, like might have $1 million in their pocket or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
like a million figurative spiritual dollars.
I think that's.
Um,
I think the big thing as well is that when you're really seriously like dedicated on the path, you're always reflecting inwards. You're always taking that outside and internally reflecting, thinking, how is this? Why? What's going on for me? And naturally, when that happens, then yeah, I guess like Aisha's saying, those things just fall away. You don't feel like you need to shame and blame and point fingers outside and do all those things because it's constant like coming back here.
yeah. And you know what? I think that's why a lot of people don't want to do the work, because it takes a lot of practice to get to the point where we do these check-ins almost automatically, like it's instantaneous, like instantaneous, like this shadow work, like this stuff that we do, like after you've done it for a few years, it kind of just becomes autopilot and you don't even notice it. It's like a background noise in your head. But for people to get to that point, they have to really be conscious of every single thing they're thinking, every single interaction they're having. Like you gotta be conscious. You can't just like go into autopilot because you can't trust your autopilot yet. Like, I mean, heck, I still don't trust my autopilot sometimes. And um but yeah, like I think that the biggest hurdle for I think why the more the planet hasn't woken up and we haven't taken it back is like it's just spiritual laziness. Like people would rather like let things go as they go than being completely conscious of every move they're making, every word you're saying. Like it gets easier. Like you just have to like it's like lifting weights. You can't go from lifting 25 pounds to like lifting 500 pounds. You gotta work your way up, and the more you catch yourself, you know, in your autopilot and like reprogram your subconscious mind, like it starts helping you. Like you don't have to lift 500 pounds. Your subconscious mind like will pick up the slacks. All you got to do is just train yourself to catch it. And like people just aren't at that point, or like I mean most people I should say are not at that point where they even want to do the work. Like they're just like, I just want to live and I just want to die. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, is it too much to ask? Can I just have an easy life where I just go about my day, eat, sleep, eat, sleep?
Yeah, it's
And
so
like,
true.
there's more to life than that, but you gotta be willing to. You gotta be willing to do the work.
Yeah, I feel like this is the real like
Okay, I'll stop being mean.
conversation that like I wanted to kind of also go into. It's just this whole concept of spiritual bypassing, because I feel like, also we were talking about the other day, like actually doing this to be able to find your neutrality, like, and also like Aisha's saying here, pointing fingers is the real bypass. So it's like actually it takes a lot of work to be able to stand in your neutral point, to be able to. That's the thing that actually takes the effort, and somehow it's getting inverted to thinking like that it's the other way around, and it's not the other way around. But
Dang it.
I just want to say thank you before I have to pop off. I know there's like some people in the chat, and I don't even know if Jess can hear me. It's just if Austin,
Great meeting you.
if you can just tell her that I'm about to leave.
Yeah, I will. Great meeting you.
yeah,
Look forward to chatting again.
thank you so
Likewise,
much for being here
likewise.
and for your wisdom and light. Keep shining.
Yeah, I didn't expect uh your your connection to screw us over like
I
that.
know,
But
yeah,
no victimizer game here.
to be the glitch in the matrix. So yeah, I found this quote, right. I heard it earlier today, and I just thought this is really yeah, good for this conversation. The choice of where we put our attention is not only an act of creation itself, it is a superhero power,
Yes,
right?
100%. We don't realize it because we've taken it for granted, but everything wants our attention. News wants our attention. Everything, politics is like all of these systems are built. Like if you don't give them any attention, they don't exist.
Yes. Oh my word, that's exactly it. If we don't give them attention, they don't exist. And
Yeah, that yeah, definitely.
and that is it. And that's like
I-
the mastering of the vibration. It's like, yeah, and it's such a big responsibility as well, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like it's like how I was saying earlier, it's we have to get ourselves to the point where our subconscious mind can can assist us, because until then, it's going to be screwing us over. But yeah, like you gotta you gotta put more attention inside than you do outside. And like I know for a fact I was lacking attention internally, so gotta gotta just as much, like, we spend 8 hours binging Netflix. Um, gotta try binging yourself for 8 hours and see what happens. But I think everything shut down, so yes. I think it's just me and Felix. I think Jess left. Um, Great to connect.
In and out, in and
You
out.
were for a split second. You were in here twice. There was two of you.
Oh man, this is funny. But anyway, wait, I really wanted to hear what you can say there. The you have to get to the point where your consciousness.
Oh yeah,
I
I'll
didn't see
repeat
it.
it. I'll repeat it again. I was saying you gotta train yourself and get to the point where your consciousness, your subconscious, is assisting you rather than uh, it being flooded with the programming of the external world. Like you got to reprogram. You got to work from the bottom up, build a new foundation, and reprogram your subconscious mind so it assists you rather than derails you. Did you hear any of that? I will kill you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and guess that's kind of like what you were saying. That's
Yeah,
the work. That is the work, right?
yeah. That's why the powers that be, the establishment, like we were saying, they want your attention outside of all this stuff, like in the external world, because
Mm.
if you even devote 1 hour a day to decluttering your subconscious mind, getting rid of the programs, getting rid of some autopilot things that are not beneficial to you, you optimize yourself to the point where, like, the sky's the limit. Like
Mm.
I have meditations on autopilot that, like I said, I work in a corporate environment, and sometimes I just need to meditate, like, on the go. Like I've set up a mantra in my head. As long as I say it, like, it snaps me right into like a meditative state. And like if I didn't have that, trust me, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I probably would be back asleep or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
That's really cool. I like that. But yeah, just back to what you were saying, like I really think that this is one of the biggest things of like change and protesting. It's just like stop feeding it your attention and energy.
yeah, an
And
internal
it's also
protest.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it seems backwards sometimes as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Seems like what? And also in a way it's like, oh, it's that simple,
it is.
you know?
It is. It's too good to be true. Like this is one of those things that is too good to be true, but is actually true. Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
like you can do the external protesting, but internally protest too. Like don't neglect your internal.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think, they're doing all this stuff externally, and like it's also helping them internally, but you know, what you're doing is playing
Yeah.
what you're doing is playing into something, um but your brain doesn't know the difference. Your brain thinks you're doing it for yourself. So if you're going out to do all this stuff, um like, are you really going in? Nope. So, but yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I think like you said, it's the distraction. And I think a lot of people, yeah, don't necessarily. And even what Aisha said earlier, like she's always the trick is like how is this concept and like what's happening as well at the moment in the Middle East? How is that being reflected in your life, in your relationships, in your work, and all of that? Because like that's the real questions and the real. Again, I just feel like these are the actual ways of protesting. You know what I mean? These are the
Yeah,
ways that the change and the shift is going to happen.
yeah, 100%. Like I was saying,
Yeah.
just as much, we can do all that stuff externally, but we can't neglect the internal. That's that's the I think that the most important takeaway from this mastering your vibration panel is you can't neglect the internal. Just because you're doing so great externally, just because you're engaging, thinking you're helping humanity and all this stuff, um, you can't neglect your internal world because
Yeah, totally. And
there's
like so.
yeah,
Yeah, that I think it's so true. It's also like and like and that's the distraction, and then because you're going outside externally, you think that that's doing a lot, but I just feel like actually like it's completely like I said, unless you're also doing the internal, then there's not much shifting, and it's also like what you were saying earlier. That's the way the reality works. Like that's how we make the shift. That's how it's just been so inverted that it's just
yeah. And the only way to uninvert it is to do the inner work, and then you'll start being able to see clearly. But yeah, I don't know if many people are gonna do the work. It's a lot. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to get your mind to the point where it's working for you instead of against you.
yeah. Yeah, totally. And then the other thing as well, I feel like, is that you end up just taking a back seat in a way. Not like, not in the way of like you're not doing the work, but it's just that observer, really, and you're not trying to force and change. And because I think a lot of the external like things that happen is like you should be doing this, I think you should be doing this, I'm trying to change the chess pieces around over here, and all the people that are saying this, and you know what I mean. But then when you're actually reflecting within, you kind of just stop doing that.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, yeah, it's definitely um, it can be, and just like how people have made their uh, you know their orientation or like who they like a personality trait like for some people this advocacy thing is a personality trait like without it like
True.
you can become obsessed with this stuff to the point uh of completely disregarding yourself and like that's I think
Yes.
that's the issue too with like protesting with cancel culture and stuff is like that people are disconnected from themselves to the point to such a point they're disconnected to themselves. The only way they can feel connected is by doing something like protesting or advocating or whatever. And like all these external displays. The external display is an attempt to uh, validate like your inner self, which is never going to work out.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
I know I make sense
But
sometimes.
then like the answer is always just it's just so fascinating, I think, because I really feel like a lot of the terms that we've been speaking about and the concepts have just been completely flipped. And even so, like I feel like it's quite sad to think that people are like brushing love with like a bad brush. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, yo, is that where we got to now? Like, but at the same time, like I know people, it is real. There is also the bypassing that's taking place as well, you know. And
Yeah.
then I was gonna ask you something else. Yeah.
Go ahead, ask me. But
Yeah, what
look,
was it?
wait, let
What
me
do
say
you,
one, let
how
me
do you
say
feel?
one thing. Let me say one thing before you ask
Oh,
me. So you know how millions of people are going out to protest, right, for certain things? If those million people instead turned the attention to the thing they're protesting, but stayed at home, and if a million people meditated the next day, it probably would have been solved. I think that's the secret. Like we're pulled to do all this stuff externally, but really what we're like this protesting, this externally protesting, it should be done internally. Like, I hate to use him as an example, but Gandhi, like his
yes.
like the way he protested, that's how we should be protesting, because the the this
Yes.
current
Yes.
this current this current mode of protesting, it's capitalistic. People, are selling t-shirts about it and doing all this stuff. They're still making money. Like there's motives beyond the purpose of the protest itself. Like it's
Mm,
it's it's not in full integrity of the purpose of the protest. But if you're just sitting at home and
mm,
refusing to engage with the systems that are part of the protest, refusing to give them attention. um, 10 million people, if 10 million people did this overnight, ceasefire 100%. I have I have no doubt. But yeah, we just gotta get humanity to that point. We
yeah,
just
man.
gotta get.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And I love that you said that about the protesting because, I mean, obviously you know, it's supposed to be making money for the cause, but still, I don't know. Something just feels funny about it sometimes. I think
Oh,
not
it's
even
always
like
it's
this
always
one.
funny.
Yeah. Right.
It's
Like
always funny.
you said, it's a bit capitalist. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Um.
we got to teach people how to internally protest.
Exactly. Yes.
That should be
Yeah. And
that should be the next talk.
and
Thank you, Felix, for
well,
joining
yeah.
us.
Yes. I love what Felix said here as well. Like. The plants growing through tarmac and broken walls in cities, so we can trust that bringing the heart into these spaces is going to be beneficial.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Felix.
And this is what you. Yeah. Thank you, Felix. What I was going to ask you was, oh yeah, what because I feel like you've spoken much about the distraction, and it's always like this external thing, and I feel like part of the distraction is also to get people up in arms and annoyed and you know what I mean. I
Mm.
feel like it's such an emotional like pulling out, and again when you're in your neutrality, the whole balance thing is like to be able to process that, feel it, and just come back to the center. Like, how do you perceive that happening? Because people are angry, people are, all sorts of emotions.
Yeah. I mean, always gonna default to the same response when these kind of questions pop up, and it's you got to do the internal work. You're always gonna be distracted if you've got trauma bonds, if you haven't dealt with these things internally, color issues, like race issues and stuff, and religious issues. Like the reason people get so polarized and um, want to do something about them, or like they feel like personally attacked, is because they're so attached to these things, like the part of them that they haven't dealt with, the shadow, like these concepts
Mm,
are, they're so attached to them. So it's so easy to control people. Like you can move them like
yes.
puppets. If they haven't done the
Yeah.
internal work, like if somebody has issues with their race, like which the human it's a human race. Like color is not a race. Color is a color. But anyway, but like if a person is in that consciousness trap of like, you know, race, whatever, um, you say one thing about race or whatever, and like they'll go on a whole tirade, go into a victimizer about like how, you know, their people have been this and been that, and like, but yeah, that's in the past. What are you doing to move that forward? Like
Mm-hmm.
actively, like so. But yeah,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
I could.
If
What?
I
Go
feel
ahead.
like it always comes back to that. What are you doing to move that forward actively? And like if you don't change it, the clog, like the way you're perceiving and seeing, and like you said, if you don't do the shadow, you can't even see what those blocks and what those consciousness traps are. And there are so many.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
every every complex of the human mind that you can fall into is basically a trap. Like remember earlier that the visual I made about an ocean being put into pipes? That's
Oh yeah. Yeah.
another example of that. Uh people's opinions, perspectives, uh uh personality traits and all this stuff have been put into pipes. So if you go into the race pipe, like there's only one way that race pipe is going to go, and to go back the way you came into something that's flowing one way, it's it's very hard. So you gotta know that these things are man-made constructs. Yes, you're in a box, but
Mm.
at any moment you can choose to say the box doesn't exist, and like that's that's what humanity is missing. We're missing that power, that internal power
Yes.
to just to t- to tell
Yeah.
yourself that the box doesn't exist, and
Yes. Yes.
just step into your power. Like um you know, like yeah, ancestral traumas and all this stuff, like they're all valid. Like all those experiences we've got, our ancestors went through are valid. The damage in our DNA from it is valid. Like all of that stuff is valid, but focusing on it, talking about it all the time, uh, making yourself a victim, bringing it up in ways that doesn't really move forward or is constructive, is like not helping anybody. And like
Yes.
I will be the one to tell people that. Like a lot of people walk on eggshells, but if I see somebody
Yeah.
engaging in like consciousness trappy behavior, I will fucking
Yeah.
tell.
But but it's so interesting because I feel like that's, I mean, that's exactly what is happening at the moment. And listen, it is mental, it's crazy, and it's not, it's not okay on any terms what's happening at the moment in the Middle East. Like, I
Mm.
think the point is that we recognize this, right?
Yeah.
But, and then it's like from there, what are we doing? And the regurgitating, kind of like you're describing, is like, it's really interesting because a lot, people saying, we need to spread the message. We need to, people need to see what's happening. And it's like, yeah, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what is that? And yeah, and I'm intrigued as well with, just because I feel like when you are being taken to all these, because it's like a bit of a manipulation that's happening. Like,
Yeah, 100%.
you know,
You're being manipulated. Like, I mean,
yeah,
when we engage with it, we're being manipulated too, but we have mastered our somewhat mastered our energy so we can kind of not like go down the deep end, like end or whatever.
yeah, 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 yeah.
but it's just
I thought,
but yeah, go ahead.
yeah. No, it's just interesting though, like, even Aisha said it, like, you can say ceasefire all you want.
Yeah.
Like, the similar things that are being shared and said and said and said over and over and over and over and over, but it's just like,
Yeah. Like, so this is another good metaphor. Um, if you're only going in one direction, the only way you're gonna be going is like in a circle. If you're only going left, it's only
yes, that's a good metaphor.
if you're only going right, you're gonna wind up coming back in a circle. But if you have knowledge of both directions, you can you can chart a new path.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I like what you said earlier about yeah, seeing both. Because there's such a demonization happening at the moment. It's like, no, you have to choose this one, you have to be on this one. But I just think it's really intricate. It's actually, like, yes, we can see, yes, we know. But again, at the same time, it's like you're gonna keep blaming and playing the victim, victimize, and pointing the finger all the whole time. Like, where does this go? Where does it end?
It
Here. This
doesn't.
is where we
It's it's
are.
supposed to it's supposed to be a never-ending loop. Remember,
Yeah.
like we're in on
Like you
we're
said.
in on the joke of base 12, but it's made to be a never-ending
Yeah.
loop.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Exactly.
We do.
And again, that's why when you can step out and you see both, find the space outside of both, then you can really see what's going on. You can see the endless loop. You can see where your energy is being like completely manipulated, and like how you're allowing that to happen, where you're placing your energy.
Yeah, 100%. It's just too bad I can't do the work for people. I would love to, but
That's a good one. I like that. But yeah, that's why this work of like mastering your vibration is so important. And like you said, this is just like preparing us for more that's to come. There's more to
yeah,
come.
yeah. COVID. I mean, people lost their minds during COVID, like during the whole COVID thing, and now people are losing their minds now. But guess who's still here? We are. So maybe there was something to shadow work. Maybe there was something to all that stuff we were saying like 45 years ago. Like
Yeah.
I remember I had posts on Instagram telling people if you haven't done your shadow work, you better start on it right. Like this is
Like 5 years
yeah.
ago. Wow. Yeah, right?
Yeah. It's just assignments on top of assignments are piling up for people now, and there's no hope. Like you're not gonna be able to finish every single assignment that you had. You're just gonna have to take the failing grade.
Yeah, unless it's like unless it might get to the point where it has to be like a big crack open, like,
Yeah, you might get expelled from
yeah.
you might get expelled from school. Some people might get suspended. Some people might get expelled.
Way to learn the lesson jokes.
I know.
I mean, it's fascinating, I think.
What?
It's just fascinating. Like, I don't know. I feel like when you can see it from that level of perspective, that like this is humanity's awakening, and so these events are taking place because of this,
Yeah.
for this. You know?
Yeah. All this stuff that's happening is like symptoms. It's not the cause, the source. Like all these crazy things, as terrible as they are, that are happening on the planet, are symptoms of the Great Awakening. That's it. And it's people will call me heartless for talking about it like that, but that's all it is. Like all of this is stepping stones for our great awakening, and we either step on the freaking stones and do the work, or I don't know, we just stay on the fucking stone.
Yeah, totally. But I agree with you, and I think that it is perceived as heartless sometimes. But and this is why I always say you have to be a ninja. But it totally is perceived like that. But it's just, I think that it also makes sense that it's perceived like that as
Yeah, of
well from
course.
that perspective.
Yeah, because you're
Yeah.
not getting emotional. You're not angry. You're like, you're seeing all this stuff in the world, and you're not up in arms and like, it's like you. I understand it. It's terrible. It's terrible. But
Yeah.
I'm doing what I can in the way that I
Yeah.
know how, and you are doing the best you can the way you know how, and it just so happens you are very externally focused, and I'm internally focused.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah, you know what as well, like I like that you brought that up because there's also that to understand that it's okay. All of where everyone is and what everyone is sharing, expressing, it's all okay. Yeah.
yeah, and you know, even I would even go as far to say that some external protesting and like all the crazy emotions and the outbursts of humanity are necessary. Like that's part of us
Oh yeah. Totally.
that needs to be expressed.
Yeah.
But um,
Yeah.
but there's also the parts of us that are able to see both sides, remain neutral, and hold that neutral energy too. Just because we're not out, out there making outbursts, burning cities down, and like doing this doesn't mean that we don't care. We see it, and we're holding a different energy.
Yeah. And again, like even to accept people for wherever they are, that's also like holding the vibration. Like that's holding yours, you know?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the crazy thing is, these people who are having outbursts, very externally focused, they'll be the first ones to attack you. But
Oh yeah.
you're trying to avoid that at all
Okay.
costs. But because you're not acting out like a child like they are, they get angry. And it's like that's being mastering your vibration, mastering your frequency, being mature. Like it takes a certain level of spiritual maturity. Like I don't care if you're 60 years old. Um, you're you're mature. You're mature only in one direction. Like if we can't have talks about certain things, and if you're still having outbursts when I bring up political matters or whatever, I don't care how old you are. If you shut down when I bring a new perspective in, I don't care how old you are. You're still a child.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
emotionally,
Yeah.
spiritually, mentally, you're still a child. If you can't handle those topics without going into like outbursts and victimizer and all these things, that's
And
it.
shutting down and
But yeah, I
yeah.
have compassion for that. That's the thing. The outbursty
Yeah.
people don't have compassion for us.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
aren't you outbursting like me? You're a bad human. That's it.
Mm. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, they don't, and it's yeah, they don't understand it, and like I don't quote the Bible as much. I don't quote it, but that line from the Bible that's like, forgive them for they know not what they do.
They do. Yes. So true.
Like
Yes.
there, I'm
Yes.
totally not religious, but I've read things, and there's drops of wisdom in everything, and there's certain
Yeah, there are totally.
there's certain drops of wisdom that I've read in the Bible that make sense. Kingdom of God is within you. Like,
In you,
yeah,
the kingdom
the
of
king
God.
the
Yeah.
kingdom
Wow.
of God is within you. It's that it literally says that in the Bible, and they have people building kingdoms outside.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know what anything. I'm just a dude. talking shit. But like, yeah, so that's my thing with the people who are super externally focused. My I forgive them for they know not what they do.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I
totally.
might still shout at them and sometimes call them sheep, but I still love them.
Yeah, it's a very interesting time, and I think just to like, yeah, I feel like ultimately what it is, it's like it's all your experience. Whatever you experience, you want to have it, you're responsible of. So, if you're getting annoyed and angry and up and da, 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 and you're and annoyed with other people, and that's a specific type of experience that you're going to have and that you're creating for yourself. Also at the end of the day, and then it's like if you want to have a calmer, peaceful experience, you can choose it, but you have to start, like you said, keep saying, keep doing the work to be able to do that.
Yeah,
And I think most people don't want to have stressful experiences, but like it's the manipulation, it's the control, it's just what's being,
yeah.
you know.
And they haven't done the inner work to the point where they can bypass. What you really need to bypass is the programming from the out, not the your internal stuff, but like what you need to do is get your
Yeah.
mind to the point where you can bypass the programming, uh,
Yes.
so you can,
Like, see, immediately done.
yeah,
No, no.
no getting stuck in your emotions, no all this like victimizer stuff. Um, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, like
I think also one thing that I read and also that we know from the base stuff as well is that victimizer is the same thing, and I think that's huge, and I think that's actually difficult for some people to acknowledge.
yeah, yeah, it's one energy. Like whether you're the victim or victimizer, it's this it shares the same energy, and uh at any point, like, a victimizer can become a victim and the victim can become a victimizer.
Yeah, that's
Like I
so
know that
true.
I mean,
But and I also,
go ahead.
yeah, I feel like we've all experienced this before. Like when you're having those silly little arguments. No, but you did this. No, but you did. No, but you did. And it just continues that way.
Yeah. And then when we're really immature, we hold grudges because we felt victimized by somebody, and then we victimize them somewhere down the road. Like maybe a year, 6 months down the road, we find an opportunity, and we become
And you
the
just change the role.
we become the victimizer. So yeah,
Well, I feel like that's exactly what's happening in the Middle East. That's literally what happened.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same thing that happened in my country too. My country went through a lot of stuff, and like a genocide too, and it's not as
What
televised
country?
as Ethiopia.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I'm from Ethiopia. Yeah, and it's not as televised and as popular as the Palestine and Israel, but in the last 4 years, uh, it was like a genocide of like 600,000 people. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, and the thing that happened was uh, the victims the victims of the last 200 years gained power, and then they became victimizers and committed a genocide. So
Wow.
they were victims of genocide like 200 years ago. But their response when they gained power, instead of, you know, a more, grounded, more neutral response to gaining power, you just do what was done to you. And
Mm.
that's the human condition in a nutshell. Like
It,
the, the if you don't do the internal work, you're just doomed to repeat the same cycles over and over.
Yeah, that's so true. That's the shadow work. That's literally it. That's what we see in our family, that the ancestral trauma, the thing that keeps moving on. And it's like break the cycle. Like someone has to break the cycle,
Yeah, yeah,
you know? Like this is and and again that's why like I don't know, it's just like love, compassion, the bringing the love into.
yeah. And it would be the biggest and like most powerful thing a victim can do is uh when the wave comes back around, they use that power and turn it into compassion and love versus going down the same
Mm,
route as their victimizers did and commit the same inhuman atrocities. But like, yeah, it's
exactly.
just
And
go ahead.
no, I feel like this is the where that the inversion creeps in again, and it seems like that's a weakness, that's a weak point. But and actually, that's what happened with Nelson Mandela, right? Because he was like part of this army. They had a resistance of it going on. And then he went to prison, and then it was in prison when he started negotiating. And I think a lot of people thought like, oh, he's weak now. He's becoming weak because he's having conversations, like.
Yeah, no,
But I agree with you. That's
he was on to something.
yeah,
but
yeah.
but yeah, the the summary is that yeah, for to master your energy, your frequency, your vibration, your oscillation, all this stuff that's going out in the external world, you're the receiver. You're the antenna. Like you can affect like what's going out in the world, and you just gotta get yourself to the point where you figure that out. I mean, we've been talking about it for years. I don't know when people are gonna catch up, but
Well, no, yeah,
maybe
literally.
maybe someday.
But I love that. Yeah. Yeah, 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 literally. It's funny because I feel like I was saying to Aisha like posts from like years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I can just it's the same thing. It's like copy paste to apply to what's happening now. But what you said there about you are the receiver. I love that.
Mhm. Yeah, that I mean,
Remember
we're
because
also we're also the emitters, but we have both functions. We have both functions, but people
yes,
don't. The whole mastering of this thing is knowing that you can receive and transmit. Like you don't just have to like just be unconscious. You can do it consciously.
yes, yeah,
Like,
totally. I love that.
um, I gotta go in 5 minutes. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Yes, no, I love that you said that for the summary of the
Yeah,
thing. That's really cool. But no, no, I think it was really good. I appreciate. Thank you for joining the conversation. I always think that you have really good reflections, and also from someone who like has been through a lot as well, and specifically like you're even saying now, like Ethiopia is going through a similar thing. It's like, but you bring a different perspective to the table to, you know,
yeah.
the norm. It's really helpful and I think needed.
I appreciate you. I love you so much.
I appreciate you and love you too.
Now I got
Yeah,
I
thank
gotta
you.
go back into the matrix.
Oh, really? On a Sunday? Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, it's payroll and whatnot. I'm trying to get ahead of it so I
Oh,
don't
okay,
have
fine. Fair. Do you have any final sharings or anything that you'd like to say?
no, but I will close with that if you want to start on this path of mastering your vibration, your frequency, your self, um, it's really important to be conscious of everything you're saying, everything you're doing, um, people you're interacting with, like just everything that is happening in your life. You have to be just 100% conscious, engaged while it's happening, so you can catch yourself. Like you're not infallible. Like you will say the wrong things. You will, make the wrong choices. You will go down the wrong paths. You will stumble, but catching yourself when you do them, like it trains your subconscious mind. So next time you come back down the same road, you won't make the same mistake. So do your shadow work.
Mm.
Do your shadow work, people. Get comfortable with the ickiness of your insides, not just poop, but like mental poop and emotional poop and spiritual poop. We all have it. Stop avoiding it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, do all of your poopy work, and you will also be a supremely intelligent, multidimensional, co-creating entity.
Yes. Yeah, I love that completely. I resonate, and also it's like the more of us that can do it, you know, the easier we're going to be able to move into this new world, into moving through this awkward stage that we're in now, and
Yeah.
it's just,
And it helps
we
it helps
can like,
collectively. Like that's the misconception
yeah,
too. Like just because you're not being selfish doing this inner work, it has
yes,
a collective effect. Read a freaking book on quantum physics. Like thoughts and our energy, like, and
yeah, yeah. These aren't just phrases that
yeah.
are thrown around.
Yeah, these
This
aren't
is
buzzwords. We know what we're talking about. Read something. Read something other than the news. I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone who's gonna be listening to this is not stuck on the news. But
yeah,
if you are,
yeah, totally.
read about quantum physics, the double slit experiment, the observer theory.
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah,
that
yeah,
all
yeah,
that
yeah.
applies to humans. We're just giant quantum particles.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'll shut up now.
Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Spreading the message, we keep saying it, you know?
Thank you for having me. Look forward to the
Yeah.
next one. And go.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be more.
Bye bye.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
You close it. I don't know how to close it.
All right, okay. I was like, do I have to leave here or
Yeah, I think you do.
I'm still
I'll just sit here and
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this talk, Mastering Vibration. I hope it's all made sense and really just brought more clarity to specific things that have been unfolding and conversations and concepts as well, because so much of it I think is just completely flipped around, and actually we have to really like go into the analysis of like what's really happening. But as Awsun and Ayesha also really shared, that like the way to do that is in the way is in the kingdom of God is within you, and it's like, and this is a really powerful, this is the place of power. This is the place where we can really start to change. And I love it how Awesome kept saying, yeah, change the collective consciousness, change, and that's basically how we change reality. And even though it seems like it's like the path, the weak path, and it, feeble, it's really not, because it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of work, it takes years of digging, it takes years of shadow work and creating that internal reflection, constant internal reflection. Like Aisha also was saying, like anytime these things happen, I always see how it's happening in my own life.
mm,
And I feel like, yeah, this is, I feel like this is always what I want to share, and this is why I created the platform. Like the path that we walk.
I love it.
Yeah. So thanks so much for joining. And yeah, YouTube, I think, is where most of the content is placed. Pathé, tune in. Awesome. I think we shared our Instagram handles here. So yeah, continue to have conversations.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Thank you.
Thank you.